Hi everyone, welcome to another This Old Deck. So I'm going to be doing a bit of a throwback episode here, in as much as we're going to be re-referencing a deck that I did way back in the early days of the channel. And I know it's sort of fondly remembered by many long-term of the friends of the channel who were watching the channel way back then. And it's the No Hand, No Land deck. So I did a series where I took the No Hand, No Land deck as it appeared in this book. And this is a book I've spoken a little bit on and off, but I haven't pulled many deck lists from this particular book. Out of this old deck series. But I thought it'd be fun to look back at this and look at it through a slightly different lens and focus a little bit more on something else that was interesting about the deck, if anybody remembers from the original series. So I'll include a link to this because it's the other thing that fascinates me about this is we tend to forget how many official guides there were for early Magic sets. And it's a fascinating sort of area of Magic publications. And these carried on for quite a while. Things like up to this point. So it captures a really nice time in Magic's history, starting with this one that was released at the time of 5th edition. And conveniently, and I haven't looked to see if the other ones are on in the Internet Archive, but this is actually on the Internet Archive in its entirety. So let's see if we can get to the section where they cover some decks. Probably deck themes. Here we go. So yeah, it's a section on deck themes, and what they actually did is these decks, I believe, and certainly this is true of this No Hand, No Land deck, all leveraged 5th edition cards. So they went through and they picked a theme. In this case, the first one was Weenie, and they talked a little bit about cards that would fit into that particular type of deck. So here you can see they've got the 5 colours of mana, and then cards that would be considered to be good in a Weenie deck. And so it lists the choices in 5th edition. And we go through, and then it talks about and so we've got, deck 1, and then deck 2, and then we've got the big creature deck. And similar sort of thing, looks at what cards could be drawn from 5th edition in the different colours that would fit into that particular deck strategy, deck archetype, and then has a sample deck. Same for the burn deck. So you can see here, looks like we've got some sort of red-green with artifacts going on. There's some 5th edition cards, and then there's the sample deck. And this went on, we got the permission deck. Talks a little bit about what does and doesn't work in permission decks. And you can see it looks like they're leaning heavily into the blue cards in 5th edition. And there's our sample deck. And then finally, it was the last deck in the chapter, we have the Land Destruction discard deck. So again, focusing in on 5th edition, what sort of effects, spells, creatures with effects on them will force your opponent to discard, and then goes on, talks about land destruction, various other things, again focusing in and leaning in heavily to 5th edition, at this exclusion of everything else, pretty much. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that isn't 5th edition in here. And then, the deck list. And this is the one that I then used to create way back the No Hand No Land series. And then the book goes on to talk about various other things as well. So a very interesting book. Finishes off things like tournament variations, but as a thing and as a whole, it's really fascinating to read. Obviously, it's based on the rules as they were at that time, but it goes through things like creature and combat strategy, all of those things as well. So yeah, pretty interesting book. So I'll include a link to this so you can check it out. So the No Hand No Land deck, no sideboard in here. So what I'm going to do is just go through the deck. As I've said, I'll include a link to my original series, and also I did a flip through more recently of the deck, just so you can see the cards again, with probably the benefit of a slightly better camera. So we just go through, look at some of the cards. They're all the 5th edition printings, and then we'll actually, the different lens I'm going to look through here is I'm not going to talk about hand disruption or land disruption, simply because we've spoken about it on the channel quite a lot in other episodes, and also the original series. I was looking at cards in Magic's history which do that, no land, no hand thing. And I'm Mav is squeaking to get in, so just let him in. There you go. Okay. Mav has entered the room. Oh, he wants to get up in his chair. There you go, buddy. You sit there. Good kitty. Okay. It's alright, he just wants to join me. So we have, what I need is a Mav cam, don't I, really? maybe I'll get a Mav cam. So let's go through this, and then what we'll do is I'll talk a bit about 5th edition generally. And what we're going to do is look at some of the rares in 5th edition, because it's really interesting, because it's such a large set and it's a reprint set, which we'll also talk about in a moment. But let's look at the deck. So Knight of Stromgold, 2 black, 2/1, protection from white, single black, first strike until end of turn, double black, +1/+0 until end of turn. And this fits in nicely with I think an episode I did previously, one of my series, where I was sort of talking about fire breathing in black, actually. So dovetails on quite nicely to this, because that's one card that comes up. Then we've got Mind Stab Thrall. So now we're moving into the hand disruption side of things. So we can sack this. Defending player chooses and discards 3 cards. Use this ability only if Mind Stab Thrall is attacking and unblocked. 1 and 2 black for 2/2. Mole Worms is one of our land disruption spells. So we can choose not to untap it, and if we do that, so the reason for that, wanting to do that, is previously we could have, as it says on here, tap a target land, and as long as Mole Worms remains untapped, that land does not untap during its controller's untap phase. 4 Abyssal Spectres, 2 black, flying. If it damages any player, he or she chooses and discards a card. 2 Orcish Squatters. So gain control of target land, defending player controls as long as you control Orcish Squatters. Orcish Squatters deals no damage this turn. Use ability only if Orcish Squatters is attacking and unblocked, and only once each turn. 2, 3 for 5, but 0 to do that. Disrupting Scepter. So we've got a repeatable hand disruption here. So 3 to cast, and for a cost of 3 we can tap it. Target player chooses and discards a card. Chooses ability only during your turn. A couple of enchantments. We have Blight, 4 of those. If enchanted land becomes tapped, destroyed at end of turn. And Conquer, gain control of enchanted land, 3 and 2 red. We have Incinerate, which will do 3 damage to target creature or player. Creatures damaged by Incinerate cannot regenerate this turn. 3 fireballs. X and a red spell. Pay 1 for each target beyond the first. Fireball deals X damage divided evenly rounded down among any number of target creatures and or players. 4 stone rains. 2 and a red, destroy target land. Pretty straightforward. Mind Warp X, 3 and a black. Look at target player's hand. He or she discards X cards of your choice. There's 8 mountains in it, 4 sulphurous swamps, which will tap for colourless mana. And you can tap it for black or red, but if you do, it deals 1 damage to you. And then 12 swamps. Now, in the original series, I sort of went through and riffed on the templating of the different cards and had a look at cards that did similar things in Magic's history. For instance, I think we looked at stuff like Rain of Tears, which is a black version of Stone Rain, and various other ones as well, that some cards that combine up both things in terms of hand disruption and land destruction, or hand disruption and direct damage, probably more specifically, and using combinations of things with other things, including, I think, in a later episode, as a result of... So what was happening is, as I did the episode, there was a gap between each one, so consequently people could comment on the previous episode because they were going out straight away, and then in light of the comments I would then buy certain cards and feature in the following episode. So we went down some interesting rabbit holes, and I'd encourage you to re-watch that series if you haven't done already or aren't familiar with it, because some interesting stuff came up. I think even Infect, we went down an Infect rabbit hole. Certainly the whole Abyssal, or so the whole Spectre thing came up, with all these Spectres with interesting abilities on them when they deal damage. And again, I've done a series about Spectres as well, so I didn't want to really double up then. So I thought it'd be interesting to just take a look, quite a wide look, at 5th edition, but specifically rares in 5th edition. It's a very large set, by far the largest version of Magic the Gathering core set, surpassing both 4th edition and Chronicles. 449 cards. Now back then, what happened with core sets is the cards came from 2 main sources. One was the previous core set, which in turn, except if you exclude Alpha, but that in turn would have reprints in it. So you were taking cards, in this case, from 4th edition, which were already reprints. So some of those came from 4th edition. 235 specifically, and the rest from earlier sets that have been rotated, from earlier sets, to sort of bring them back in. So you've got Ice Age, Arabian Nights, Antiquities, The Dark, Legends, Fallen Empire. So core sets then, great way of bringing back cards that previously might not be in a particular format that 5th edition would be played in, excepting things like Eternal formats. And of course stuff had to come out of 4th edition, so the whole, it's not a case of the whole 4th edition coming across. And also in some instances with new artwork. Now, of course, more recent core sets, as of, I suppose, M10, there's this half and half thing going on, where it's half reprints from pretty much anywhere that made sense, and half was new stuff. So this was all reprints, but it's just some of the reprints were from the previous core set, which in turn, as I've said, were also reprints, and some of the reprints were from other sets as well. So large set, And the other interesting thing, one of the books I reference a lot, which is the Magic the Gathering Official Deck Builders Guide, has a section in it which deals with 5th edition decks that are used only using commons. Back before, I think it was referred to as pauper, or popper, however you like to say it. Yeah, so lots of fascinating things around 5th edition. But yeah, very large set. So what we're going to do is have a look at basically the two colours from the deck. So black and red, but just see what specifically what rares were in 5th edition for those colours. Because it's some pretty interesting stuff in here. Some of which I may well own, but possibly in later copies. Yeah, so let's have a look. Of course, at this point, no mythic rarity, just regular rarity, regular rare. So Bad Moon was in here. All black creatures get +1/+1. We've got cards like Nether Shadow, which are unaffected by Summoning Sickness. And you notice we're going up the curve here. If you enjoy keeping of the shadows in your graveyard with at least 3 creature cards above it, you may put Nether Shadow into play. Warp Artifact during the upkeep of enchanted artifacts. Controller, Warp Artifact deals 1 damage to him or her. Then we've got things like Hecatomb. Comes into play, sacrifice 4 creatures or bury Hecatomb. Tap a swamp you control. Hecatomb deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Then we have Necromopotence. So 3 black, skip your draw phase. Whenever you discard a card, remove that card from the game, pay 1 life, set aside the top card of your library, put that card into your hand at the beginning of your discard phase. Now this was a pre-free reprint from Ice Age, and I just can't remember. It's like banned in Historic and Legacy, restricted in Vintage. I'm trying to remember when that situation arose in Magic where it got silly with people just playing, you go to a tournament apparently and everybody be playing Necropotence. I think that's right. So I mean, I'm just wondering when that happened, because why would you then reprint it in a core set if it had been causing you problems in the original set it was printed in? But maybe it was a sort of delayed reaction caused by other synergies being more applicable. And we got Pox, it's also here. So 3 black. Was that banned in anything? No, it wasn't. Okay. Yeah, each player loses a third of his or her life, then chooses and discards a third of his or her hand, then sacrifice a third of the creatures he or she controls, and then sacrifices a third of the lands he or she controls. Round each loss up. Sorceress Queen. I really like this card. So, yeah, it's 1 and 2 blacks, 1/1. Tap target creature other than Sorceress Queen is a 0/2 until end of turn. Oh, that's a pretty interesting ability. Originally from Arabian Nights. I do have, I probably have either a 4th version of, was it just 4th edition and 5th this was printed in? I think I do have one copy of this somewhere. Stronghold Cabal. You can see there's a lot of like 1 damage, 1 life sort of stuff here, like chiseling away. That's interesting. It turns a target non-artifact creature into an artifact creature. And there's Zombie Master. All zombies gain single black regenerate and swamp walk. Deralaw, 4/4 for 4. Your black spells cost an additional black to play. So I think at the time having an actual on-curve creature was pretty strong. So it's sort of nerfing that a little bit by adding a cost to it. But yeah, How times have changed. 2 and 2 black. Summon Ragman. What's that now? A human minion. Okay. 3 black. Look at target opponent's hand. That player discards a creature card at random. Use ability only during the turn. Okay, that will be at home in a no hand, no land deck. Although, see, what was the... Yeah, we do have quite a bit of double black in here, actually. And there are more mountains and swamps. Thingir Autocrat. That's the one that generates surf tokens. Now, does that sort of behaviour have a name? Not really. Well, you know, those sort of creatures where you put them into play and they almost like generate companion tokens. Companion minions. Bury target non-creature. Put a shadow token into play. Treat this token as a black creature. It's the same power and toughness as the attacking creature. End of turn, bury the token. The Wretched. End of combat, gain control of all creatures blocking a Wretched as long as you control the Wretched. Nightmare, so this is a great card in mono black because its power and toughness is each equal to the number of swamps you control. And then Lord of the Pit. A 7/7/4/7. Flying, trample, and during your upkeep, sacrifice a creature other than Lord of the Pit. If you cannot, Lord of the Pit deals 7 damage to you. She's doing a Sparks Joy episode. A bit of a weird thing to talk about in combination with this one, but yeah, I'm going to do a future Sparks Joy episode on the number 7. So we'll have to see where that takes us. Okay, red. Rare red cards in 5th edition. 17. So we got Earthquake, 6 damage spell, Ironclaw Curse. Interesting. Again, these sort of little, you know, like -1 on the toughness. Can't be assigned to block any creature's power greater than or equal to enchanted creature's toughness. Got Mana Clash in here, which is a flip the coin thing. Winds of Change. And it is on a library and then draws a new hand of as many cards as he or she has had before. Smoke. Players can't attack more than one creature during their untap phase. That's an interesting red control card, actually. But it is across the board. Ball Lightning was in the set. 6/1, but it blows up at the end of any turn. Does have haste, though, obviously. Game of Chaos. Another coin flip. Goblin King's in here. I'm trying to remember, we saw before in black there was a zombie lord. You can see we've got a goblin lord here as well. I'm not sure if there were like lords in all the colours or not. Goblin Warrens. Sacrifice 2 goblins, put 3 goblin tokens into play. So 2 for 3. Yep. With enough mana, you can get some interesting synergies going on there. Mana Flare. Whenever any player taps a land for mana, it produces 1 additional mana of the same type. Interesting to see that in red. And Zertar Ancient. Mana increases, quite a number of those. That's pretty cool. Card there. What was that? That was Arch Enemy, wasn't it? I think. Crimson Manticore. Mana Barbs. It's quite different artwork. 3 in a red. Whenever any player taps a land from mana, mana barbs deals 1 damage to him or her. And yeah, if you remember the old style mana barbs, whoops, what happened there? Oh, no, what am I? Sorry, I'm being silly here, aren't I? There we go, it's better. So this is probably the one I remember, simply because this is the artwork I first saw. Ouch. Yeah. There's no ways there of what's the revised one? Just thinking, is there anything in black border with that original artwork? What's this one? From black border, okay. So it says in there is a 4th edition version, so yeah. Okay. And that is, so all around $4 really. 6th edition version, 10th M12. So last time they printed it was in M12, if you exclude the 30th anniversary edition. Maybe less said about that the better, perhaps, yeah. Oh yeah, Orcish Squatters. Org Jockelhoops was in this. When did they stop printing that? I mean, was in Deckmasters, but yeah, 6th edition. Slight change in the artwork from Ice Age. Yep. Sweeper, creature destroy, artifact, creature destroy, sweeper, land destroy. You know the story. Shivan Dragon was in the set. Fire breathing. 5/5 with flying for 4 and 2 red. So 6 mana, 5/5 with flying and fire breathing. Pretty strong. 5 and 2 red. Inferno deals 6 damage to each creature and player. So interesting sweeper for, yeah, a hell of a lot of creatures. There are going to be some things that it won't get rid of. So basically anything with, you know, more than 6 toughness. But yeah. Things like Fire Tempest. And is it stapled to Jaya Ballad as well? Yeah. And it's symmetrical. So also, while we're in here, let's have a look at the artifacts, because you know I like my artifacts. So quite a lot of artifacts at rare in this set. So we've got Helm, Manival, Meekstone, Obelisk of Undoing, Anchor, Crown of Ages, Howling Mine was in here, Jandal's Saddlebags, which yeah, there's quite a big difference in the artwork. I've got, I think, 4th edition version of that. Millstone, Winter Orb, Coral Helm, Disrupting Scepter, Dragon Engine, Elkin Bottle, Jalum Tone was in here. Bowl's Cage, Dancing Scimitar, originally from Arabian Nights, and still appearing in later sets. Slightly different artwork. Dingus Head, Flying Carpet. There's James Day Tome. Jester's Cat was in here. It's been reprinted a few times. Originally from Ice Age. A great way of dealing with combo decks. Never Arnold's Disc. Pentagram of Ages. Primal Clay, which has had several different pieces of artwork now. Time Bomb. Gauntlets of Chaos, the Hive. This is this one where it will generate wasp tokens, but it's like pretty high cost. Clockwork. So we got a few of these clockwork type things, I think. No, have I got that right? Or is that the only one? I thought there was another clockwork in here, but maybe I'm getting muddled up with a different set. Serpent Generator. That's got poison. Yeah, it's got a creature with poison on it actually. This is Avenger. Does -1/-1. So 0 -1/-1 in your choice of banding, flying, first strike or trample until end of turn on this creature. Colossus of Sardia. That was that 9/9 for 9, but it doesn't untap during your untap phase, but it has the ability to untap it, but for a cost of 9. Yeah, a lot of these have pretty high activation costs on them, don't they? Coral Helm. This guy got a random dog. Does that? No, I was going to think like some of these things. I can see why not in this case, but you get some of these. What do they call it? Like pseudo equipment, but I don't think that would fall into that category. And then the land. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of land in here from different places at rare. I mean, there's quite a lot of land generally. And I'd have looked at the other rarities for this, so we'll go through that. But yeah, you've got at rare, we've got these storage lands from a previous set. They were from Fallen Empire, so they were reprinted in 5th edition. And then, probably more importantly for this deck, because it's got copies of this in it, there are these lands. So these were all, in this particular set, these were all allied colours, and they were the Pain lands. And they were originally from Ice Age. But yeah, pretty cool artwork on these. And there was also City of Brass in the set as well. I like that. So yeah, Silo lands, Pain lands and City of Brass, all at rare in 5th edition. At uncommon, we have these. Now, there was also Ice Flow as well at uncommon. Now, these are called, let me get this right, the Sack lands. That's right. So they come into play tapped. They can tap for a mana of a particular colour, but you can sack them to add 2 of that colour. And yeah, there's other cards, you know, will do similar things with a slightly different mechanism, maybe. But yeah, so Wooburg, and then we have Ice Flow. You may choose not to untap Ice Flow during your untap phase. Target tap creature without flying. It's attacking you. Tap target creature without flying. As long as Ice Flow remains tapped, that creature does not untap during its controller's untap phase. So, pretty interesting control land. And lockdown. then at common, if you're wondering, so rare, uncommon, common, it's just basically the Urza the Urza land. So Urza's mine, Urza's power plant, Urza's tower, and those ones, like, you know, are enhanced based on the presence of the others, particularly this one. So Urza's tower, if you control mine, power plant and tower, add 3 mana to your mana pool instead of 1. These ones do 2 if the other 2 are present. And then save the best till last. We might as well look at all of them rather than just the red and black ones. But yeah, so 4 pieces of artwork per colour and mana. You can look, some have got obviously echoes of Ice Age in them. So, you know, icy one here, icy one here. Not in black though. And I suppose in red, yes. And then in green, this looks pretty frosty. But overall, I quite like the lands from 5th edition. It's funny, the swamps look really strange, don't they? It's a really washed out artwork. I don't know quite what that effect would be considered, or what medium those were painted or drawn in, actually. And I particularly... So what's my favourite? Thinking about that, what's my favourite in each of the colours of mana? So this one, probably, as for the plains. Now this is difficult. I would probably say this one. Not quite sure what's going on here. But yeah, this one's hard to know. Yeah, probably this. Again, these are a bit samey. Probably this one. Now this one, I reckon this one here. And these, I do like this, but I was trying to avoid picking, you know, like a snow one. But yeah, they're probably this one. There's a nice sunset or sunrise here. Okay, hopefully you've enjoyed that. I'll include links to all my other No Hand, No Land deck related videos that I've done over the years. I think there's only probably about 4 or 5, but I will include links to those. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.